You guessed it, folks. We're talking about Spider-Man today. Uh-oh, Tom Taylor's writing a Spider-Man book. What does that mean? Probably that I like it. That's the case. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man #1. Woo! This book is really good. It's just a nice, wholesome Spider-Man time. Except for the post-credits scene, which we'll talk about in a minute. So Tom Taylor's writing this, like I mentioned, and he is one of my favorite comic book writers currently. And this book just continues to cement that. It's a really good book. You should check it out. If that's all you needed to hear, then leave. Otherwise, stick around. So the post-credit scene that I mentioned probably 5 or 10 seconds ago, we're going to talk about that now. Basically what happens in it, if you didn't read the comic, which you should read it, it shows Aunt May going to a clinic, and it basically just reveals that she has some form of cancer. I think breast cancer, but I am not 100% sure. But yeah, it's really sad, and Peter doesn't know, and she hasn't told Peter yet, which is sort of the point of the whole sequence of events that unfolds in, that. So I guess that's a B-plot in this Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man book, which sucks. And I really personally hope that this cancer isn't life-threatening to Aunt May, because we've all seen what great lengths Peter will go to save Aunt May from certain doom, and we don't need a repeat of that. This is one of those times where I just don't really have a ton to say, aside from general praise. I do have a specific criticism towards this book, and a larger criticism about the Spider-Man comics as a whole right now, but we're going to talk about that specific Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man criticism first. So, my main criticism about this book, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man #1, is that it seems like it's really leaning into Peter Parker being the best person on planet Earth, like neighborhood aside. Peter Parker is like a god in this world, apparently. Throughout the issue, we see him helping people, and we see people in his neighborhood talk to him about how he helped them in the past and how they're super grateful for it, and it comes across weird. It reads strange to me for a couple reasons. One, we're not really shown how Peter is helping these people, aside from being told that he is helping these people. And two, it's like hard for me to believe that he is helping all these people as Peter Parker, not Spider-Man, and he, like doesn't have any money right now, and, can't do too many things as Peter Parker, otherwise he's gonna show his hand as Spider-Man a bit, at least that's the way he thinks. I don't know, it's confusing to me. I can understand the interaction between him and his neighbor Marnie, who he helps often carry groceries or whatever she needs up to her apartment. That makes sense to me. They do have a conversation about how and why she never uses the elevator, because there is an elevator. She's like, oh, it's a metal death trap. But, like, the implication in that conversation is it's the first time they've ever talked about that, which is weird, because this is not the first time that Peter has helped this woman carry groceries up to her apartment. So why are they only talking about it now? I don't know. It's just, I know it's not really important. It's just, it's a nitpick that I feel like should be addressed. The bigger one that makes less sense to me is this couple who, I don't remember their names, but it's a couple that is buying Peter lunch because they just said that Peter helps them a lot whenever they walk past their store, I guess. He just helps them out. It's never said how, whether it's monetarily or like manual labor or something, or just flashes them a nice Peter Parker smile. I don't know. It's not expressly stated, and I feel like it should be, because I know that Peter Parker is a good person, but like, show me that he's a good, show him doing more things other than just having civilians, New Yorkers, yell at him, be like, hey, you there, you're pretty cool. I just feel like all of these interactions with the civilians complimenting Peter Parker, they would make way more sense if they were complimenting Spider-Man, because Spider-Man is way more capable, and it's a lot easier to heap praise on someone like Spider-Man instead of just, little boy Peter Parker who lives down Drury Lane. So that's Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man #1. I'm basically done talking about that comic in and of itself, but I do still have my larger criticism about the Spider-Man comics as a whole right now, and which is going to spin into a criticism of Marvel comics as a whole, so strap in. There are too many spider books! There's too many Spider books right now. The Spider Office is releasing so many comic books right now, between The Amazing Spider-Man, this one, The Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, you've got Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider, you've got Miles Morales Spider-Man, you've got Spider-Man and Deadpool, there's the upcoming miniseries Symbiote Spider-Man. There's too many Spider-Man books. There's also Venom, which is Spider-Man related. There's too many. And I'm sure I'm missing one or two. And before you comment about Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, as far as I know, and I am not 100% certain on this because who the hell knows what Marvel gets up to, that book is canceled. Like I said, again, as far as I know, I'm pretty sure the Spider-Geddon tie-in was the last issues of Spectacular Spider-Man, but who the hell knows, really? This issue just ties into a larger problem with Marvel in general, where they release just too many books each week. Every week, Marvel releases almost double the amount of comics that DC releases. That's an issue! Not only is that incredibly intimidating for someone who does want to read everything, which doesn't include myself, but I know people like that out there, it's also just, it's prone to create so many problems with stuff like sales, in-plot continuity, and just spreading yourself too thin across your creators. There's too many problems. Stop releasing so many books. Another problem that's cropped up because of Marvel's quick trigger finger to just make a new book is their insistence on continuing to do ongoings as the new books. Not miniseries, just ongoings. They've been doing this for years now, where this minor character that probably isn't going to sell very well is given an ongoing, is a creative team is set up on an ongoing, and it's just months later, maybe a year later, the book is canceled because it was set up for failure. If you have a character that you want to give an ongoing comic to, you need to pitch it to your audience first. You need to write something like a 5-issue miniseries, or even better, a backup in another existing comic to see if there is interest for an ongoing, before you just make an ongoing out of a character that you know no one's gonna read. I blame this on Kamala Khan. They did this shit with Kamala Khan, they just gave her an ongoing, this character that literally no one knew about, and it sold like crazy. People loved it. And Marvel has continued to ride that high forever. They're just like, oh yeah, this will happen every time. But no, that was the exception. You can't keep doing that. For example, Ironheart has a book right now, an ongoing, not a miniseries, just a fucking ongoing for this character that is incredibly controversial and not many people like. Ironheart is too new of a character to have an ongoing right now. She was too new to hold Invincible Iron Man, and she's too new to have her own Ironheart title. She belongs only on the Champions where she is right now. That is what that character deserves, not an ongoing. And again, I'm not, even if I loved Ironheart, I would be saying this. I don't, but even if Ironheart was my favorite superhero, I'm not campaigning for a Spider-Woman series right now because she doesn't need one. It's just gonna get canned, and I don't want that. Okay, so pulling back here, I have sort of a solution for at least the Spider-Man comic side of things. I'm not making too many changes, I'm just cutting 2 books. Don't cry about it. The only ones I'm suggesting getting rid of are this one, unfortunately, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and also Spider-Man Deadpool. My reasoning for Spider-Man Deadpool is that it's just a title that's fleshing out Marvel's roster of books right now. There's too many books. I'm not reading it right now, but even if I were, I would still be saying this because it is not necessary. You can tell the same stories that we're seeing in Spider-Man Deadpool in Amazing Spider-Man or Deadpool. You don't, like, when you have this many books like those need to go. Getting rid of Friendly Neighborhood is a whole other issue. I know I just spent the first half of this video praising the book, and all of that still stands. I would love to see this book continue, but for the sake of, again, Marvel just having too many books, we need to get rid of this one. Why? Because it focuses on Peter Parker. We live in a world where Peter Parker is no longer the center of the Spider-Man universe. The spotlight is on Peter Parker and Miles Morales now, with occasionally Gwen Stacy in the background, which I'm giving Gwen her book. I'm continuing to let Gwen exist in her own book because of Into the Spider-Verse, the movie. She's clearly growing in popularity. She's going to headline her own movie soon, so that just makes sense to keep that around. There is no need for 2, 3, 4, however many Peter Parker books these days, because Peter Parker is not the only Spider-Man. We need to give the spotlight to the other Spider-Man characters like Miles and Gwen. Back when there were 4 ongoing Spider-Man titles, that was because there was a lot of demand for Spider-Man, and the only Spider-Man was Peter Parker. I'm just terrified of the very real possibility of having like 3 or 4 Peter Parker books and still having a Miles book and a Gwen book with maybe a second Miles book, and then this team-up book over here with Spider-Man and Deadpool. Maybe Miles and Gwen have their own team-up book. It's just, it's too much. As far as the rest of the Spider line, I'm not touching Venom because it's hardly a Spider-Man book right now anyway. It's more of a Thor book. And Symbiote Spider-Man, the miniseries, can stay because it is a miniseries. They came out the gate saying it's a 5-issue limited series. Great. That's great. I just hope it doesn't turn into an ongoing. Also, for the record, I probably would cut Superior Spider-Man, however much I love Otto. I forgot to talk about that in the actual video, but yeah, we don't need a Superior Spider-Man book right now. I could sit here all day and offer solutions to Marvel's publishing line being too big, but honestly, this was supposed to just be a review of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and it kind of got out of hand. Plus, this is not the set where I talk about stuff like that. That set's over there. But yeah, so maybe that'll be a future video, but for now, I'm gonna cut myself short. I'm done. No more Spider-Man talk. I had to film most of this video twice. I'm very angry about that fact. Whew.